So today we're going to be talking about matchups that I want to see being made in every single UFC weight class. Now, this video will not include champions. This is just contenders inside the top 15 of each division. These are contender matchups that I want to see being made. Starting off in the heavyweight division, we've got Ciryl Gane. A guy who, in my opinion, is pretty underrated. Underrated might not be the word, but underappreciated. I mean, a lot of people shit on this guy. Now, he did lose to Volkov at UFC 310 due to ass punches in the third round. But outside of that, and the loss, obviously, to John Jones, Ciryl Gane has been pretty clinical in all his other performances. I mean, yes, he got dropped by Tai Tuivasa, which right now sounds horrendous. But that was a fun fight, and he got a nice stoppage in there. He smoked Sergey Spivak. He beat Derek Lewis. He was unlucky not to get the win against Ngannou. I do think Ngannou won that fight, but it was really, really close. I think this guy does get shit on a bit too much. But obviously, coming off that controversial win over Volkov, a lot of people think he should be fighting the winner of Tom Aspinall, John Jones. Or if John Jones doesn't fight Tom Aspinall, it should be Ciryl Gane versus Tom Aspinall next. But this is a matchup that I want to see take place before that. We've got Sergey Pavlovich. Now, Sergey Pavlovich is set to be taking on Jairzinho Rozenstruik, who is on a bit of a win streak at the minute in the UFC, but I just see him being smoked by Pavlovich here, to be honest. I think Jairzinho is just going to get hit with a fucking right uppercut that's probably going to send his bottom teeth straight through his top teeth, and he's going to be obliterated in there. I do think Sergey Pavlovich is a big puncher. I need to stress that enough. This guy is a big puncher. But do you not just think he's a bit overrated? Like, people were comparing him to Ngannou. He doesn't have the Ngannou effect, in my opinion. But Sergey Pavlovich, people think, you know, he's this big, dangerous striker. People compare him to Ngannou. He is a big puncher, don't get me wrong. Nowhere near the likes of Ngannou, in my opinion. I just said that. Don't know why I felt the need to repeat it. But him versus Ciryl Gane, banger matchup. Because Ciryl Gane, especially over 5 rounds, will absolutely style on Sergey Pavlovich. And I think that's a fight that the UFC need to make, because say they announce Tom Aspinall versus Ciryl Gane next, everybody kind of knows the outcome. Like, everybody just expects him to be taken down and destroyed. Where if you give him Sergey Pavlovich, who will not take him down and will let Ciryl Gane just show off his skill set and how good he actually is, he will style on Sergey Pavlovich and smoke him. And then that will generate more hype, because the heavyweight division is dead in the water, to be honest. Like, you've got Tom Aspinall versus John Jones, maybe 2 fights if we're lucky. I think we'd be lucky even if we get one of those. And then what? Like, there isn't a next contender. Maybe Almeida after he beats Spivak, but who the fuck wants to see Almeida fight? Nobody. This is the matchup to make next, if he beats Jairzinho, which I'm predicting a devastating knockout from him, to be honest. Next up, let's go to the light heavyweight division. We've got Khalil Rountree. Now, I did pick Khalil Rountree to beat Alex Pereira.
Bruh.
If you're new around here, I pick everybody to beat Alex Pereira outside of Magomed Ankalaev, which makes me think Magomed Ankalaev might beat him. So I might need to change my opinion for the sake of MMA. But Khalil Rountree, him and Ian Gary at the minute are kind of tied for who celebrates a loss more. Obviously, Ian Gary has felt the need to continue talking about his loss over Shavkat Rakhmonov. Yes, good performance, but you lost. Same with Khalil Rountree, saying he was just happy to be in there with Alex Pereira. I don't want to hear that shit. But this guy fights like you owe him something. So I like that about him. I want to see Khalil Rountree versus Yuri Prohaska. Now, you need to hear me out. I think Yuri Prohaska is going to beat Jamal Hill at UFC 311. I predict that. Now, I'll tell you why I predict that. Is because I don't think Jamal Hill is 100% focused on the Yuri Prohaska matchup. I feel like he is just so focused on his rematch with Alex Pereira, and Yuri Prohaska isn't someone to sleep on, and I think he will knock out Jamal Hill. I'm predicting that, a knockout. Now, keep this in mind, I also picked Yuri Prohaska to knock out Alex Pereira in both fights, and look what happened.
Bruh.
So maybe don't listen to me when I'm talking about Yuri, but regardless, if he beats Jamal Hill, he's not getting a title shot, we know that. Let's create another fun matchup. Khalil Rountree versus Yuri Prohaska, fight night main event. Have that headline somewhere in Europe. Banger. Absolute banger of a matchup. I would love to see that one. Let's move on to the middleweight division. Now, this might be a bit of a cop-out because I have used this fight in another video. But I need to say this because, as Israel Adesanya said,
I manifested this.
I am manifesting this fight. Caio Borralho versus Robert Whittaker.
Bruh.
Banger. Try and tell me that's not a banger in the comments, because if it is, you're a liar. And Santa only left you a bag of coal. Because no one who got presents from their loving family and Santa this year would tell me this isn't a great fight. Robert Whittaker, a lot of people say he's washed.
Bruh.
Would love to know how they've came to that conclusion, because this is what happened with Robert Whittaker and Khamzat Chimaev. So Robert Whittaker forgot to brush his bottom teeth before the fight happened at UFC 308. His teeth were a bit sensitive then, and that's how Khamzat Chimaev got the win. Okay, so just for people who don't really understand what happened with Whittaker and Khamzat, that is what happened. But Robert Whittaker isn't washed in my opinion. The guy's 34 years of age, still has more to give. I know he said about moving to light heavyweight, don't want to see it. Stay in the middleweight division. I think he can beat Caio Borralho. Another perfect 5-round main event, especially now that the Apex is going to be closing for like reworks or whatever. This would be amazing in like an arena, whether it be Brazil, Australia, don't care. Do not care. This is the matchup that needs to be made in the middleweight division, and I think Robert Whittaker wins it. Moving on to the welterweight division, we've got the dark horse of the division, Joaquin Buckley. This guy right here knocks out Bilal Muhammad. I'm telling you right now. Okay? So let's move on to how I want to see him fight that Shavkat Rakhmonov. Now, Shavkat Rakhmonov is going to get beaten by Bilal Muhammad. His aura is slowly going to dwindle away. The aura merchant is going to be no more. And then I think that's the perfect time where you put Joaquin Buckley in there, because Joaquin Buckley versus Shavkat Rakhmonov is war, in my opinion. You can't tell me 5 round. I'm predicting these are all going to be 5-round fight night main events. A 5-rounder, Joaquin Buckley, Shavkat Rakhmonov, money, war, absolute war. Someone's getting knocked out, and I think it's Shavkat Rakhmonov. I think Joaquin Buckley stops him. On everything, I think he stops him. Joaquin Buckley, Shavkat Rakhmonov, St. Louis, co-main event after Bully B, Styles on Shavkat Rakhmonov. That's the fight I want to see. Moving on in the lightweight division, we've got Paddy the fucking Badila. Now, I don't want to say I predicted this fight on TikTok. I did, and Paddy Pimblett replied to it. So, I could be telepathic. In fact, this would be the perfect time to use this.
I manifested this.
Him versus Michael Chandler is absolute money, because this guy right here, I've never seen anybody get this amount of privilege in the UFC. The only saving grace for Michael Chandler is that he beat Dan Hooker 65 years ago, and Dan Hooker got a fluke robbery decision over Gamrot and got put in the top 6. That's the only reason this guy's being kept around, because his last win is Tony Ferguson. So I went quiet there to let that marinate with you so you would understand what I'm saying. This guy's last win is Tony Ferguson. So are we going to start saying the likes of Michael Chiesa is this elite top 10 ranked fighter right now? No. So why are we pretending it is with Michael Chandler? Paddy Pimblett, big name. He's number 12 in the rankings, 13 in the rankings. Michael Chandler's number 7. He's not getting the McGregor fight. McGregor's fighting Logan Paul will never come back to the UFC. So just give him another big name, up-and-comer Paddy Pimblett. I mean, this guy seems to be always wanting to be in super fights. I mean, he'd said about Max Holloway for the BMF title. Why on earth he thinks he deserves that, I don't know. But he wants to be in big fights. Paddy Pimblett can give him that big fight, and this is a big jump up in competition for Paddy Pimblett, because Michael Chandler can chin him, because Paddy Pimblett can be hit. So, but then again, we just seen Michael Chandler be exposed in the grappling by Charles Oliveira. Not saying Paddy Pimblett has the same level of grappling, like wrestling and trips that Oliveira has, but the guy's got really good jiu-jitsu and could potentially submit Michael Chandler. But if Oliveira's got his back and Oliveira isn't submitting him, don't know if Paddy Pimblett can. But there's a lot of questions that we need answered. Plus, Michael Chandler isn't chinny. The guy is tough and durable. Paddy Pimblett hits extremely hard, and I think he could do some serious damage to Michael Chandler and vice versa. I think this is a perfect fight. This probably wouldn't be a 5-round fight night main event. This would more than likely end up on a pay-per-view, but I'm happy enough either way. Moving on in the featherweight division, we've got Diego Lopez. Now, obviously, a fight I want to see is Diego Lopez versus Ilia Topuria, but this is another matchup I want to see, and that's him versus Volkanovski. Now, if Ilia Topuria is moving up, and isn't going to fight a featherweight anymore, make an interim title fight right now between Volkanovski and Diego Lopez, because I want to see what this guy has. I want to see what this guy's made of right now, because Diego Lopez is extremely dangerous in the opening rounds. Volkanovski's on a 2-fight losing streak, and in those 2 fights he's been flatline KO'd. So it'll be interesting to see, is Volkanovski a complete shell of himself or not, and to see if he can make it out of the first very dangerous 2 rounds with Diego Lopez, because Diego Lopez does tend to slow down. We've seen that when he's got in there with more elite guys. He tends to slow down when he can't get you out of there. And I think Volkanovski, if he can ride the storm, I even still think he can have success in the earlier rounds. Volkanovski's a great kickboxer, but it is dangerous on a 2-fight losing streak after you've been KO'd twice. So I think Volkanovski, Diego Lopez for an interim title if Ilia Topuria isn't staying. Obviously, if he is staying, it's Volkanovski versus Topuria 2. Don't really fancy Volkanovski's chances in there, but we'll love to see, does Volk have it still against an up-and-comer like Diego Lopez? And moving on to the Bantamweight division, we've got Corey Sandhagen versus Davidson Figueiredo. Banger matchup right here. Davidson Figueiredo, there has been talks about him fighting Pantoja. The guy struggled to make flyweight a good couple of years ago. He's 37, so I'd understand if he went down for the title fight, but I feel like he's got more to give in the Bantamweight division. Corey Sandhagen showed really good takedown defense in there against Umar Nurmagomedov, but was very hesitant with his striking. Davidson Figueiredo, we know, can carry power. He hurt Petr Yan in there and Chito Vera. The guy's got really good grappling as well. They're literally a ranking apart. I think Davidson Figueiredo's 5, Corey Sandhagen's 4. Don't really understand why he's above Davidson Figueiredo, to be honest. But this is a banger matchup, one that would show who the next contender is in this bantamweight division. That is kind of getting a bit rocky, because if Umar beats Merab, then is it a Merab immediate rematch after all the work he's done in the bantamweight division? Is it Sean O'Malley rematch? Is it Sean O'Malley getting an immediate title shot? Is it Petr Yan getting an immediate title shot? If Merab wins, does Sean O'Malley just go right into a rematch? You know what I mean? There's a lot of moving parts that the bantamweight division needs to sort out, and I think this is the perfect fight to sort it out. Corey Sandhagen versus Davidson Figueiredo. And finally, we've got Brandon Moreno versus Steve Ercik. Banger matchup. 2 really high-level boxers in the UFC. Obviously, Steve Ercik just got KO'd by Kai Car-France. And obviously Brandon Moreno beat Kai Car-France, but styles make fights. 2 really good boxers. I think it'd be exciting. Obviously, Steve Ercik is set to fight Abu Amabayev. I'm pretty sure that is his next fight. Let's double check. UFC is shit and doesn't update their website. So yeah, that is who Steve Ercik's fighting next. I would just love to see this matchup. Have it in Mexico. Brandon Moreno's a big star, and this is just a fireworks fight, a fun one. I would like to see that fight being made. So those are fights that I want to see being made in every single UFC weight class, not including the champion. Let me know your opinions in the comments below. What fights would you like to see being made? Because there are some divisions that kind of need a bit of work to them. The flyweight division being one, because it seems like everybody's already fought everybody, and it's kind of like rinse and repeat matchups. Like we've seen Brandon Royval versus Brandon Moreno twice now. Panto just beat those guys. Beat Royval twice, beat Moreno 3 times. Amir Albazi just got fraud checked by Brandon Moreno. He didn't even beat Kai Car-France in their fight, if we're being honest. So it's like this division in particular needs a lot of work done. The heavyweight division as well. We need to generate a bit more hype in this division, because after the John Jones-Tom Aspinall matchup, what is there? Bantamweight division does need a bit of sorting out as well. Other than that, the other divisions are pretty good. But let me know your opinions, like I said, in the comments below. Like, share, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. And I'll see you again in the next one.